Welcome back, Bison Overtime. We have some few sports to get into. We have a lot. But first we're gonna start off with football, like always. They are 3-0. They're coming off a bye weekend.
Oh, thank goodness we got football again this weekend. Last weekend was so boring without it.
It was boring without your weekend. Yeah, man. We are ranked 5th in the FCS. SDSU, Southern Illinois, Missouri State, and Western Illinois are above us.
Well, since we had a bye week last week, let's go over all of the conference teams in the Missouri Valley right now. And we'll see how they're doing. So we'll start with SDSU, probably one of the most dominant teams right now in the conference. They're 3-0 to start the year, and they have dominated literally almost against every division so far this year. They played against FBS Colorado State, beat them 42-23. Played against Division II Lindenwood, and obviously beat them 52-7. And then last week went on the road against Indiana State and won 44-0. And then after the first 3 games of the season for South Dakota State, quarterback Chris Alakadun has 611 passing yards and 9 touchdowns with 1 rushing touchdown.
He's doing pretty good this season, too.
Very good so far. Quarterback transfer from Houston. You know, and we were wondering how they do at the quarterback position after Gronowski got injured, but apparently they're doing pretty well there. And then running back Pierre Strong has 398 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's averaging about 133 yards per game. Yeah. And then next up is South Dakota. The Coyotes are 2-2 to start the year. First game they lost against FBS Kansas, 17-14. Then they rattled off 2 wins against Northern Arizona and Cal Poly, but they lost last week against Missouri State, 31-23. And speaking of Missouri State, they are 2-1 to start the year. Their only loss came against FBS Oklahoma State, who is now ranked in the top 25 nationally. And they only lost to them by 7 points. Then they had 2 wins against Central Arkansas and South Dakota. Illinois State, the Redbirds are 2-2 to start the year. They had a win against Butler, then lost against FBS Western Michigan, 28-0, and then won against Eastern Illinois, 31-24, and then lost last week, 35-17 to Southern Illinois. And then speaking of Southern Illinois, they are 3-1 to start the year, looking pretty good. Had a win against Southeast Missouri to start the year, then lost to FBS Kansas only by 8 points in Kansas State. And Kansas State was ranked 25th last week in FBS. Then they have wins against Dayton and Illinois State. Western Illinois is 1-3 to start the year. They lost against Ball State, which is FBS, then got blown out by Montana, which is a pretty good FCS team, and then had an amazing, weird shootout game against Eastern Washington where they were down 55-14 at halftime and stormed all the way back to lose 62-56, but still stormed back to only lose by 6 in that game. And last week they won against Youngstown State on a last-second field goal, 38-35. Youngstown State is 1-2. Their only win came in the season opener against Incarnate Word, and it took them double overtime to win that game. Then they had losses against Michigan State, which is FBS, and then Western Illinois. Northern Iowa is 2-1 to start the year. Their only loss came in their season opener against Iowa State, who was ranked 8th nationally at the time. They only lost to them by 6 points. Then they had 2 wins against Sacramento State and St. Thomas universities. Finally, Indiana State, they are 2-2. Started off the season with a win against Eastern Illinois, then lost against FBS Northwestern 24-6. They beat Eastern Kentucky on a last-second touchdown, and then got smothered last week by South Dakota State 44-0.
All right, so there's some good teams out there in the FCS.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for the SDSU because they're looking like they're doing pretty good, and I want to see that matchup, against us. How do you feel about FCS this season so far?
It's been very exciting. Not just our conference, FCS in general. There are a lot of teams that have beat FBS teams this year, and a lot of teams that could contend for a championship, like teams like Montana and Delaware and other teams. There are a lot this year that can make the FCS exciting.
All right, well, let's get into the gravy, though. Okay, the big game is tomorrow against UND at their house at the Alvarez Center at 2 p.m. So we beat them last season at home. They're going to try to get the revenge.
Oh, yeah.
So this will be our first time also going to UND's home field since 2003 and maybe beat them too. Mm-hmm. So, how do you feel about that?
The place is going to be rocking, that's for darn sure. They're ranked in the top 10 in the FCS, so naturally the fans are going to want to go there. But for this game in particular, the fact that North Dakota State hasn't been there for 18 years, they're really going to want to show up this weekend and support their Fighting Hawks team.
Yep, going into the game, NDSU is number 1 in the FCS this week for averaging 308 and 43.3 rushing yards per game.
And we have 4 running backs averaging over 6 yards per carry, which are Tamarick Williams. He's got 9.1. Jalen Bussey has 9 yards. Dominic Ganella, 8.2. And Kobe Johnson with 6.1. That is incredible to see 4 running backs with over 6 yards on average.
Yep, the Bison are the only team in the FCS over 300 yards per game on the ground, and also leading the Division One with 7.92 yards per carry. So running game is doing pretty good for us. Like I said last episode, we have a lot of weapons on the run game, and that's going to help us against UND.
Oh yeah, it's going to help us all season, and it's no difference against UND. And especially in these kind of games, especially against all the Dakota teams, seem to have one thing in common. You got to win in the trenches, especially with the offensive line. The running game is going to be very important for these games, and that's going to be a big key factor into who wins this game.
Yep, for defense, Sdsu ranks second in the FCS, just allowing 4.3 points and giving up 196.7 yards per game.
We are also ranked first in third down conversion defense, allowing only 17.5% of third downs. Unfortunately, we lost a very vital piece on the D-line. Spencer Wagee out for the season with a torn ACL, but he has said he will come back next year, but still a tough loss for this year.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. It's good that he has that another extra year of eligibility because of COVID. And yeah, because that's really unfortunate, just to go out like that. And he's been having a really good season.
Yep.
It just sucks. So, but good thing our recruiting is really good because we have backup players on the D-line like Tony Pierce, the Mostart twins, and other pieces. I know Coach Ince was talking about the younger guys stepping up and growing up because we're going to need them.
Yeah, it's always been an important key to every position. Young guys stepping up when other guys are injured. And that was one thing we kind of struggled with in the spring because of transitions with transfer portals. And we didn't know who exactly was going to be playing every single week because we didn't know if somebody could transfer suddenly. So it was a bit of a problem in the spring, but it seems like we definitely fixed that problem because a lot of positions we are very full in terms of roster spots.
Yeah, what is UND looking like so far this year?
So UND, they are starting out 2-1 to start the year. They started out with a win against Idaho State, 35-14. Then lost to FBS Utah State, 48-24. Now I know the final score wasn't impressive, but they had a very good first half. They led 21-7 at a point, but then let the game slip away from them. And then last week they beat Drake, 38-0.
So, okay, all the teams that they played have been lower tier teams except Utah State, and that's the team that they got whooped, 48-24. Now, Utah State is second in the Mountain West Conference, so it's expected for that to happen.
Yeah.
But, UND also had a bye week, just like us, but we didn't have a bye week. Coach Ince said that we were practicing for over 2 hours, and even guys staying after working on technique and fundamentals. He says they're going to treat this like any other game, but clearly I think he's practicing, more because it's a big game.
Yeah.
Everybody's coming to see this matchup.
Well, it's also the start of the conference schedule this year, and darn well they're going to treat the conference games a lot differently than the non-conference games. They're way more important. They matter a lot more for playoff seeding, and they matter a lot more for pride as well, especially a rivalry game like this.
Yeah. To be honest, it's always about the pride. The schools even involved. Forget about the sports. The school, like the students on the NDSU, back and forth on social media. It's like we're representing our school. And that's why I think it means so much more to get this win. But what are some weapons on UND's team?
So UND has quite a bit of offensive weapons. Tommy Schuster, who is their quarterback, who started last season as well, he threw for 1,428 yards and 10 TDs. He finished as the runner-up for the league's Freshman and Newcomer of the Year award last year. And he's been doing pretty good this year. He's averaging about 250 yards passing per game. And so, yeah, he's had a good start. They have a lethal passing attack. But also, another big weapon is in that backfield, Otis Weah. Otis Weah, he is 5'9", 215-pound junior running back who had a 100-yard performance in the season opener against Idaho State and had 47 yards against Utah State, but was injured in that game and did not play against Drake. But he was a big key in their game last year against North Dakota State. He had 129 rushing yards, including that 74-yard touchdown that really sparked their offense for a little while in that game. So he can be a game changer in that backfield. And they also have 2 other running backs against Drake who ran for 100 yards each in that game as well. So they're not limited to just Weah in that backfield.
Yeah, and UND's coach confirmed that he will be playing in the game against us. So
yeah.
Too bad we have to,
But, I mean, with the defensive line that we have, I don't see why we should have any trouble as well.
Yeah, another key player that we should watch out for is wide receiver named Garrett Mogg. He was named All FC honorable mention for the team last season. He led their team also in receiving yards. Last season, I didn't really see much of him, against us.
Yeah.
So I want to, see what he does against our defense because our secondary is scary.
Yep.
So.
There can be times where our secondary can get beat, and that's if North Dakota wants to beat us in this game, that's how they're going to have to do it because no team can beat this front seven with the running attack. They can't. You're going to have to beat us through the air first.
Yeah, but can they get it through the air? Think about what we have. We have a lot. Think about it. I don't think we're lacking anything on the defense.
I mean, maybe we're not lacking. I'm just saying, even the lacking part is not necessarily lacking in that sense. But if there is anything that could possibly beat us with, it's going to have to be through the air.
Through the air, yeah.
Beat our secondary.
Oh, so you're saying that our front, the trenches, yep, are too much of a power to beat us in the run game.
I mean, you look at the rushing stats that we've given up, we have not given up much rushing yards this year.
So you're saying the only way they can beat us is through the passing game.
Yes.
And that's exactly what's going to help us. You know why? Because it's going to be pick city. You know who we have? Jalen Price, corner. Again, Courtney on the other side.
Dom Jones and Tutsi.
Yep. And
Kaiser.
Weber. Weber already has an interception. So he's looking for another one. You already know he's hungry for another one. So I think it's going to be a good matchup. Both teams have some good players, so I can't wait for this game. Again, my prediction is 34-14.
And then mine was 28-14. So we usually have the defense giving up 14 points, just a little bit different on the offense.
Yeah, so be sure to tune into that game. When we come back, we'll get into soccer and volleyball.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
once I got on campus, it felt like home.
The NDSU bookstore has everything you need to show off your Bison pride. The bookstore can have you sporting green and gold wherever you go. It offers many different brands, sizes, styles, and selection so that you find exactly what you're looking for. Shop the NDSU bookstore and show your spirit today.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today, so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
There are so many great things to experience at NDSU. It's hard to pick one, but my favorite is
the people. They make it such a warm place. The Bison aren't just across the country, they're across the globe.
It's the perfect distance from home. The faculty are our biggest cheerleaders. Hands-on research experience. The affordable tuition.
All the opportunities to stay active on campus.
Real-world learning experiences.
once I got on campus, it felt like home.
Welcome back. Now we're going to get into soccer. Okay, so soccer is coming off of a bye week. There are 0 wins, 6 losses, and 1 tie. You know, the Bison are finally heading into conference play, though. So that could be some good news. We can rise to the occasion or just keep going downhill. But they have 2 games this weekend at home at the Dakota Field. They play against Oral Roberts at 12 p.m. Last season, and Kansas City at 12 p.m. on Sunday. So last season we split the weekend with both teams. And also in the preseason coaches poll, they were ranked higher than us. No, we were ranked higher than them. So I think we have a good weekend against them this weekend.
Yeah, I mean the biggest problem with the team right now, and it's been noticeable throughout the season, lack of scoring and a lack of taking scoring on the opportunities you get. We've had shots on the goal, plenty that we missed on, and those have been key factors in a lot of these games because at the beginning of the season, goaltending was a problem as well. We were giving up quite a few goals every game, but the last 3 games we have only given up 1, 2, and 1 goals respectively, and that first one was our tie against Wyoming where we only gave up 1 goal. So I mean, if we can hold them to that, we get shots on the goal, we get opportunities to score 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 goals a game. And those are games that we could win, but we have to take advantage of those on offense because our goaltending is getting better. We just need to make the shots that we get on the goal count.
Yeah, so Oral Roberts is 3-5-1. They haven't played as much competition as us, but they played only one, which is Cretan University, and they lost 3-0. But we also lost to Cretan University, so we can't really say anything about that. They played Cretan. We played Cretan, Marquette, and Baylor, which are 3 tough teams. The only thing they have on us is that they can at least score 1 goal, even when they lose. Our problem is we can't score.
Nope,
so that's why I think it's going to be a close game.
Only 2 goals scored through the first 7 games, and that's a huge problem right there.
Right. That's why I think for that game, I think it's going to be 2-1 us, just because we're ranked higher than them, and I think we can pull it away with that.
I feel like the goaltending will still be pretty decent tonight. I feel like we're only going to give up 1 goal, but the problem is, again, our scoring. And with the weather tonight, unfortunately, as well, it looks like it's going to be raining again.
Yep.
We're gonna have a fun time out there with that, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't really see us getting a shot.
You know,
on
it's
goal.
really bad luck
like
every
it's gonna
time
be
we play
1-0.
at home because it always has bad weather conditions, and we always have to sit through that.
And that's a problem too. I feel like honestly, the Wyoming game that we were there for, with the rain, that was a huge problem because I feel like we had one shot that was going to be a goal. It got past the goalie, but the rain slowed it down so much that someone was able to catch up to it before it got to the goal.
Yep. And as far as Kansas City on Sunday, they are 2-8, so they're not doing so well. So, however, they have been playing some tough teams also. They played Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Cretan. So that's why, you know. But last season, they were 4-12-1, which was also bad. I think we can easily beat them because, I don't know, we just need to score goals. That's the only thing our problem is. But when we play lower tier teams like these, I think we should be able to get those goals scored.
I mean, yes, these are games that you should be able to win. And, you know, it would be a great win for us. Any win right now would be a great win. It's a good confidence booster heading into the conference. And, you know, hopefully we can get that pretty soon. And I feel like hopefully one of these 2 games should be able to do it. I feel like maybe tonight might not be the night with the weather and our lack of scoring. But I feel like, yeah, Kansas City could be possibly a game that we could win.
I'm saying for Kansas City, we're winning 1-0 us.
All right. I'll probably say 2-1 us.
2-1?
I feel like we'll get multiple goals.
Okay. And then for volleyball, they had 1 match at home and 2 on the road. This previous Saturday, they played Oral Roberts and got swept 3-0 in our own house. Then we traveled to Vermilion, South Dakota, and played USD and got swept again 3-0. But it ended on a high note. We went to Illinois and played Western Illinois, won 3-2. What are some of the stats from those games?
So some of the kill stats from those games, the Oral Roberts series first, Sierra Tanchin had 11 kills, Michelle Glover and Ellie Hinsey tied for second most with 7 kills each. And then the Tuesday against South Dakota, Hinsey had the most kills with 10, Glover had the second most with 7, and Tanchin had the third most with 6. And then last night against Western Illinois, Sierra Tanchin had 24 kills. That is a lot. Allie Hinsey had 19 and Michelle Glover had 12. So the season lead, and then throughout the season so far, the leaders in kills, Hinsey has the most with 202 kills. Sierra Tanchin has the second most with 198, and then Michelle Glover has the third most with 118. And then I would like to also mention, you know, before that Western Illinois series, it was looking kind of dire for the volleyball team. We had lost 10 straight sets heading into that series against Western Illinois. And it was kind of a back and forth series, and it took, you know, you said until that 5th game to win that series last night, and we only won by a score of 16-14 in that last one. So we was right down to the wire.
Yep, so they're now 7-9. They play University of St. Thomas tomorrow at 3 p.m. in Minnesota. St. Thomas is 2-11, so they're not doing so good.
I would hope that
so
we
far.
can be able to win that one.
Exactly. This will be our first playing them in their Division I era, so yeah, they're not even experienced in our division yet. So I think that will be an advantage towards us. So I'm thinking 3-0. I'm thinking a sweep.
Me too. I mean, there have been, and the main problem with this team that I've noticed is the lack of consistency. When this team is playing well, like they did, remember the Cal series?
Yep.
We dominated vastly, you know, very good teams. And then unfortunately the next week against Portland State and Gonzaga, we just looked off, unfortunately. And it's just a lack of consistency because when we see this team at their best, they look amazing.
Yep.
But then there's points where it just falls off, unfortunately.
And are we still decreasing in kills? Like, are we still, because when we started in the beginning of the season, we were getting a boatload of kills, right?
Yeah.
With Ali Henze and Sarah Tanton. Are we still decreasing?
We have been decreasing, but then that Western Illinois series kind of increased it again. So overall, yes, we are decreasing. Hopefully they can keep up the momentum from the Western Illinois series, because like I said, Sarah Tanton had 24. That is a lot.
Yep. So hopefully they can get that W against St. Thomas. I want the sweep. I think it'll make them feel better, and I think it will make them, play a little bit harder in the future games. Get some juice, get some confidence back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into golf.
Founded in 1985, the Missouri Valley Football Conference has established a tradition of FCS football excellence. Competing at the highest level of NCAA Division I, student athletes at its 10 institutions demonstrate character, passion, and integrity as they grow as a student, an athlete, and a citizen. The Missouri Valley Football Conference, where leaders are shaped and champions are forged.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today, so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
Welcome back. We're going to end the show with men's and women's golf and men's and women's cross country. So for the men's golf team, they played at the Zach Johnson Invitational in Des Moines, Iowa on Monday and Tuesday. They tied for first place with Drake University. I told you the men's team is up and up. They're doing pretty good. It's better the second. I obviously don't want to tie win at first, but at least we got that first. So the Bison overcame a 5-shot deficit actually midway through, so we could have got second. So it was a kind of a miracle that we shared the victory with Drake.
Very good showing for them, indeed.
Yeah, so the final score was 853, and it's also the 5th best 54-hole tournament score in the Bison program history.
I mean, that definitely tells you something about how good of a day they had, huh?
Yeah, so Beck Earnholtz finished the tournament with 10 birdies and also had an eagle as he finished at +5 overall. Nate Adams led the Bison, taking 4th overall. I told you a few episodes back, the men's team is pretty solid this year. So how are your girls?
So the girls didn't actually have a tournament this last week, but they do have an upcoming tournament on Monday at the Stampede at the Creek at the Indian Creek Golf Course in Omaha, Nebraska. And I think they'll do better this tournament. It sounds like there will be about 15 teams at this tournament. And they had a rough going at Coeur d'Alene, finishing 15th out of 17th, unfortunately. But I think that was just one bump on the road, because we remember back at their Brookings performance where they had 3 girls finish top 10 overall with every golfer at the tournament. And if we get those performances from Elise Hoven, Lexi Gillette, and Leah Scar, then, we should have no problem getting a top 5 or 10 finish at Omaha.
Yeah, so you guys are thinking about the girls. They have to have more, consistent players. It can't just be one. It has to be collective, because at the end of the day, it is a team, sport.
Well, it has been pretty consistent. You look at the Brookings game. A lot of the girls had very good games at the Brookings tournament, but then at the Coeur d'Alene one, a lot of them, it was really rough, unfortunately, for them, finishing 15th out of 17th, and it shows.
Yeah, that can't happen. See, for the men's, we have more than one skilled guys. We have Nate Adams, Brock Winter, Beck Earnholtz and Josh Gavin and, of course, Jack Johnson. But for the girls, you really don't have, as much as, impact players.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, at least Hoven, she had that second place overall finish at Brookings, and then Giolat got 5th and Scar got 10th. So, I mean, they are very good. It's just, I think last week, like I said, it was a bump in the road for literally everybody. Hey, and if everybody's going to mess up, make it all in one weekend, so that way you can get it out of the way and have a good season the rest of the year.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, and then for cross country, last Friday, the men's ran at the Roy Gryock Invitational in Minnesota. Freshman Mason Kendall was the top finisher for the Bison. He led NSU for the second time in 3 meets this season. Kendall placed 149th overall. What's some of the girls' stats? So some of the girls' stats. North Dakota State, they also raced at the Roy Gryock Invitational on Friday as well. North Dakota State senior Kelby Anderson led the Bison women's team to a 13th place team finish out of 21 teams. Anderson got a 32nd overall running the 6-kilometer course in 22 minutes and 5 seconds. Sophomore Kalisa Houston was the number 2 Bison finisher, clocking in a 22-minute and 58-second finish for 85th place as well. And then senior Jen Duffner took 107th in 23 minutes and 23 seconds. And then sophomore Isaac Huber finished in 164th place with 27 minutes and 11 seconds. And junior Josh Sims was 72nd place with a time of 27 and 18 seconds. So, I mean, it sounded like an average day overall for both the men's and the women's. Nothing, exploding, but it wasn't like nobody finished, we didn't finish towards dead last of anything, thankfully. Yeah, the NSU finished with 21st place in team standings, and BYU claimed the title. So, yeah, this meet wasn't really as good as what we could have been, but we're racing against teams like BYU, so there was a competition. And for the women, Minnesota took the title. The home team took the title for the women's. That one. Yep. So what are you going to charge it to? Just like it was good teams, and we tried the best we could, or like you said, for bump in the road. It wouldn't have hurt for both the men and the women to have someone finish higher than where we did, because for the women the highest finisher was 32nd overall, which isn't terrible, I mean, in terms of an average finish. But when that's your best finisher, it isn't exactly going to lead to anything spectacular for the team. Like I said, for the women's, they were 13th out of 21 teams. So it wasn't exactly something that was, too impressive. Yeah, for the men's, the next race is October 15th at the Bradley Pink Classic in Peoria, Illinois. And the women's team will be there as well. Yeah, what is your predictions? I think the men's have to do better, just 21st place is not cutting it. Yeah. So I think I'm predicting 15th place at least. I'm predicting for the girls, probably around the same finish as they did here. Probably, I would hope a little bit better. I'm going to predict around an 11th, because I think there will be some girls who finish better than, I think there will be more girls who finish up in the 30s and 40s than what we had, because, the top 3 was 32nd, 85th, and 107th. So, it was a really big drop-off after our top finisher. So I feel like we'll get some more girls who get up towards the top, and I feel like that will help a lot for the team. Yeah, man. I got to go back to that UND game, though. Football, I just can't wait for that game. Like, I want to see – who do you want to see? I want to see Dominic Canella, and I want to see more passing. We have Kristen Watson and Felix Sproles. I feel like we will. I feel like we will see more passing with Watson, especially. I mean, we have other guys, too, at the wide receiver position. We haven't even talked about this year. Alex Libby and Raja Nelson. Yep. We have other guys that we could pass to as well. And Braylon Henderson, too. Braylon Henderson hasn't even been returning punts. It's been Jalen Price. So we have a lot of, attacks. I can't wait for the game. I'm excited to watch that suffocating defense as well. It's been attacking people all year, especially that front four, just getting after the quarterbacks, getting after the running backs. I'm excited to see it. We've had some great tacklers as well. Right, that too. That Otis Ware in their backfield and the defense makes, I think, because that's the number one weapon, right? It's the run game, because they have that. When those collide together, I want to see who's standing. I think, obviously, NDSU is going to take it. You're worried that we won't take it. I'm not exactly worried we won't take it, but I think there's a lot of fans who overlook this game. You can't overlook a team like North Dakota. In this kind of rivalry game, this kind of atmosphere, the fact that we're back up in their place for the first time in 18 years, we can't overlook that fact.
they will try to give us a challenge. They will try their hardest to beat us.
Alrighty, make sure you guys tune into all those tournaments and games. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Bison Overtime. Catch us next Friday at 11:30 a.m. for another episode. Go Bison.